Okay, so we are doing our last day on Unit 12 Exponentials. We are doing applications problems, which is like seeing the value of cars in that parking lot go slowly going down over time, or seeing value of money in your investments slowly going up over time. There's a formula for that, and I'm going to show you. All right, but to start with, let's review. Number one, at the very beginning, you guys had trouble with these. I'm hoping you've gotten over it. 5 to the 0, 5 to the -1. Everybody can do 5 to the second, but can you do these two weird exponents? Question number 2. If you have one that's like this, 5 to the x versus 1/2 to the x, label which one's decay and which one's growth. G or D, growth or decay. Okay, number 3. If you had this one, where does it move? So for example, you might say like right 2 and down 7, but that is not the right answer. Question 4. On an XY chart, would you please find me 2 points on that one. Find me 2 points on this one. And I guess I'm just going to keep your life simple. I want you to stick in 0, and I want you to stick in 1. Just find me those 2 points. And last but not least, question 5. All right, so that's what you're supposed to know so far, and then I'll teach you the new stuff. Answer those 5 questions. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute, give you some more time to answer. So our answers, for those of you that were doing this video at home, I've got the answers up on the screen here. And the 2 points here, 0, 3.5, and 1, 4, I think that might have been the hardest part. And this was a horizontal reflection because it went left to right, so that's horizontal. All right, moving on. The new stuff for today, everybody get to this problem, or this page. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to solve real-world exponential problems. And it's true. These seriously sound really scary at first, but they're really easy. They really are, once you understand what I'm about to show you. All right, so this is also a review page. It should take you literally 15 seconds for each question. you should take the penny that doubles for 30 days because in the end, this one came out to a one with so many zeros it's hard to even count it. And that's just the 30th day. All right, we already talked about that in class. We're going to move on and get to the rule of 72. This one's just a handy one to kind of keep in your back pocket for if you ever want to know whether how long it's going to take something to double. YTD. Try to figure out what that stands for in the context of this. YTD equals 72 over I. Hudson, can you figure it out? What do you think YTD stood for? Years to double. Very good. So if I said, I want my money to double in the next 10 years, then my years to double is 10 equals 72 over I. And could you solve that? I know some of you couldn't, to be honest. Some of you wouldn't know how to solve that because you'd be like, I don't know, do I multiply by 72? No. But I hope some of you would remember that I've tried to tell you to clear the fractions out because even math teachers don't really like fractions. So we times by the denominator and the I times by the I, and there. Is I alone yet? No, but it's really close. Now you could all solve it. Pay attention. Right here. How do you solve that? Cole, what's my last step? Trying to get I alone. Get rid of the times 10 by? Dividing by 10. So I got I equals 72 divided by 10, which is 7.2. What that means is I need 7.2% interest to get my money to double. All right, I'm going to do one more like that. Let's say that you have saved up $30,000 for college. You worked your butt off and you saved up 30 grand. And you decide, okay, I haven't got enough for college yet. I want this to grow. And, you know, maybe it was you and your parents worked. I'll give you an example of something that people work at with their parents. Some people put up a booth at the state fair and they sell food at the state fair. And you can make 30 grand in 1 year of having a booth at the state fair. Serious. There's some people who make way more than that. So let's say that you and your parents work together, you got a booth at the state fair, and you made 30 grand, but you really need it to grow to 60 to be able to pay for your college. So you invest it. And it was years to double equals 72 divided by I. I want my money to double, but I have to have it double in 4 years because you guys are going off to college in 4 years. So then you'd put 4 here and 72 divided by I. That'll tell you what interest you need to get your 30,000 to double. See what I did? I took an equation and I stuck the numbers in the right spots. So I'm going to now multiply by I on both sides. And I have 4I equals 72. And I divide by 4. So I got to take 72 divided by 4. Now I'm not going to spend much more time on this. This is one of those where if it's really cool, but it's not something we're going to test you on as much as the next thing I'm going to show you. So I'm going to stop at this point and say, if you aren't interested in how this cool 72 works, I'm not going to force you to understand it. You'd need 18% interest to get your $30,000 to grow and double in 4 years. Okay, so everybody get to this one with the red question mark. McKenna's salary increases at the rate of 4% per year. Her starting salary is $45,000. What's her annual salary after 8 years? Whoa. Let me show you how to do this one. And it seems really hard, but it's really not. your amount will be your starting amount times 1 plus the rate. What rate? The 4%. To the power of the year, or the years. There it is. The start times 1 plus the rate to the power of the years. Okay, turn your iPads my way so that I can see that you have that and you're on the page with the question mark. Some of you are just staring at the page. That doesn't help. Okay, I'm seeing 6 iPads so far. I'm trying to keep you motivated to actually write stuff down. Staring at your screen doesn't do a dang thing. All right, I'll come and check on the people that are not turning their iPads again personally. Thank you. Thank you. Save me a trip next time. Just turn your iPad, would you? Can you hear me? All right. So this one's starting amount is $45,000. One plus the rate. Cole, what's the rate? It says it right in the problem. 4%. Okay, 0.04. To the years. Problem says the years. I know you have it written down right. Where do I put it? Yep, that's it. Now, you just have to type that into your calculator. 45,000 times 1 plus the rate to the power of 8. Can you shortcut this by saying 1.04? Yep. 1 plus 0.04 is 1.04. So that would make it a little quicker. Everybody type that in. That's how you get your answers. You grab your calculator and you type it in. Everybody type it in. All right, Sam Bender, give the first digit of the answer. Just the first digit.
My first digit was 6.
You are correct. Give the second digit, Annabelle Fung.
My second digit was 1.
You are correct. And let's put a comma right there because it's 61,000. Emmett Reifenberger, what's the next digit? Looks like Emmett was falling asleep. I'm marking Emmett absent. Next up is Catherine Yetka.
5.
Just a second here, gotta tweak the attendance. All right, and 5 is correct for the next digit. Next up is Virginie.
I got 0 for the next one.
Nope, it was not a 0. Thank you for trying. All right, it was type in exactly what you see on the screen right here, and the next digit will not be a 0. All right, next up, Emmett, you want to give another try on this? Or are you just not here today?
Oh, sorry, I haven't done this yet.
Okay, you're way behind, and that makes me think you're playing video games or something instead of doing math with us. So please, would you get on the stick here? I will call back on you in a moment. Next up is Colin Vatsveen. What's the next digit?
After 5.
Yep.
4.
It is not. All right, I'm going to double check in class. Raise your hand if in class here, if you had the next digit was an 8. Raise your hand if you had that. Yes, the next digit is an 8. All right, some of my kids that are with me aren't really with me today, which is kind of sad. All right, moving on. We're going to go to Nora. What's the next digit? 5 is correct. And then it ends with 61 cents. Okay, you guys need to be able to type these in. These aren't that hard. I'm going to change things like you're not starting with 45,000, you're starting with something else. And then I'm going to change it to you don't get 4% gain, you get like 8% gain. Or one other thing I can do on a test question is that's a minus. Why would that ever be a minus right here if it's decaying in value? Because that's what the cars in the parking lot are doing. So everybody write this one down. Here's a car in the parking lot question. Its amount is going to be a $18,000 car. That is a typical value of one of the cars in the parking lot right out there. The newer ones are worth more, the older ones are worth less, but that's typical. 18,000 times 1 minus, why am I subtracting? Yes. Because it's depreciating, it's going down, it's getting less, worth less. And I'm going to say 5% per year, 0.05. And that is, it's an average. Did you know when you first buy a car, they typically go down 10 or 20%, just like right away? You know why? Because as soon as you buy it and drive it for a little while, it's a used car. Because nobody wants the used one. They want a brand new one. Okay, so if you drive it for just a little while, it loses like 20% of its value. But I'm putting 5% on average over a long time. And let's say, right this minute, these cars all look decent, but 10 years from now, they're all going to be pretty old, and they're going to be worth a lot less. A lot of people will have sold their car in the meantime, but some people will still have their car 10 years from now. But what will it be worth? Put a power of 10 on there. Everybody type that one in on your calculator, whether you're at home or in the classroom. I'm going to be calling on people for different digits of the answer. All right, version E, what's your first digit of the answer?
1.
You are correct. On to Connor Ryan, what's the next digit?
I got 5.
You are incorrect. Thank you for trying. What's the next digit of the answer? Reifenberger.
I got 0.
You are correct. Next one, let's go with Colin Vatsveen.
7.
You are correct. Next one, let's go with REP. Okay. Sounds like you tried. I appreciate that you tried. It will work if you, I think what you might have done wrong is the minus key. Maybe you hit the negative key instead of the minus key. Maybe that's what got you. Luis, you got this one? It is another 7. All right. And Lily Ferkus, the last digit? You are correct. And then there's some change. But that car that was worth 18,000 is down to worth like 10,000. And here's the weird thing. At the end of their life, cars all of a sudden kind of like they plane off to where they kind of hold their value, and then all of a sudden one day they just die. So the car might be worth like $3 grand, $3 grand, $3 grand, and then all of a sudden nothing. Why is it all of a sudden worth nothing? Because it stops working. And whatever it would take to fix it is like more than what the car is worth. And so then at that exact moment where the car went from $3,000 to like, crap, it doesn't work anymore and it's going to be really expensive to fix it, the car goes to 0. So if you were to look at the decay curve, it actually is really steep at the beginning. Then it levels off like this. Then at the end it goes boom, when the car just all of a sudden is worth 0. Because in fact, sometimes you have to pay people to come and drag it off of your driveway. It's not even worth 0, it's worth negative money because you got to pay to get rid of it. So a lot of people's cars are somewhere in here. I like to buy the cars somewhere in here, used, and then try to get rid of them before they die. And so then they don't go down very much in there. All right, so like I bought a car once for $4,500, drove it for like 5 years, and it was still worth about $2,500. So I only lost $2 grand for 5 years. Other people lose $2 grand in the first day. It was used. Yep. So if you get cars used, the only danger is all of a sudden at any moment something bad could happen, just like boom, your engine blows up. But I try to buy cars that are known to last a long time, like Hondas and Toyotas, they tend to last and do pretty well. All right, one more like this. This one's actually off the slides. The milk one. Everybody get to the milk one? I've been setting up the equations. Can you set up the equation? Try it. All right. Elijah, what does it start with? He'll give you a hint. It starts with 349 because that is the start price of the milk. Noah, what's always in here? Every single time we've done something, there's a 1. And then it depends whether it's plus or minus on if it's going up or down. What do you think the cost of milk's going to do? Yep. It goes up slowly over time. I know my mom, back in the day, she used to be able to buy milk for under $1. And now it's $3 for a gallon of milk. Anyway, so 1 plus 0.02. Raise your hand if you knew that was going to be a 0.02. Okay, awesome. And Tatum, the last thing is the years, but it was a little tricky. We don't do 2025 here. That would be way too big. Do you know what to do?
I did 4.
Yes, because it's 4 years from now. So we put a 4 there. Everybody type that into your calculator. Okay. Anya, can you tell me the first digit? You are correct. And Hudson Pool, the second digit. You got this typed in yet? 3 point. You didn't? Oh, okay. You typed something wrong then. Maybe you didn't put 0.02. That's a common mistake. I'm going to come back to you then. Syndicate, can you just finish it? $3 and what?
77 cents.
I agree. Well, could we round it though? Look at your calculator again. What do you think we could round that to?
Or 78 cents.
78 cents. Yep. There you go. That works in the real world. Gas is going to go up. Figure out a percent. You can just do this little calculation. You'll know how much it's going to be. And here's one last one I want you to do, and because I think it's kind of cool. Current cost of a decent lunch around here is $10. That includes like a drink and the meal and, like a decent lunch. I'm not talking about a super cheap lunch, but a decent lunch. And again, you could go to a nice place and spend $40 for lunch, but I mean like a decent lunch for a decent price. Now here's my assumptions. Inflation rate will be about 4%. So do you get it's going to cost a little more next year and a little more next year and a little more next year? But here's the thing that I think is kind of cool. Let's do this until you are someday like the grandpa. And that would be 70 years from now. Many of you will be alive 70 years from now, and you might think back on this moment. Yeah, the math teacher said that a typical lunch was going to cost this much. I'd like you to figure it out. 70 years from now, at 4% growth in the cost of a lunch, how much will a typical lunch cost when you're 70? No, when you're 70 years from now, which would make you like 85. So you'll be grandpa or grandma. Did you put 10 times 1 plus 0.04 to the 70? Isn't that kind of cool? You can make a projection of the future. Everybody type it in if you haven't already. I'm going to ask you for digits. Jordan, first digit. Excellent. Annabelle Fung, second digit.
5.
Correct. Emmett Reifenberger, third digit.
I'm still separated.
Okay, Emmett. I'd like you to stay after and we'll chat a little bit at the end of the hour if you want to get credit for being here. Sam Bender, next digit.
5.
Thank you. Cole, next digit. After the 155. 0.7, and I'll do the last one because I'm going to round it 2. Can you believe $155 for lunch? Now, some people in Venezuela who have experienced massive inflation would tell you 155, that's nothing. People in Venezuela, since just like in the last, since you were born, okay? Venezuela was a super rich country about the time you were born. And now their currency has, their inflation has gone crazy. And it used to be like, costs $20 or whatever for something, and now it'll cost like $1,000 for the same thing that costs $20. So this honestly, from $10 to $155 is kind of not that crazy. This is not that's expected. I would expect you to have to pay $155 for lunch when you're really old. Like that's gonna happen. In fact, our government tries to have 2% inflation. I used 4%. Our government tries for 2% inflation. So don't be surprised at all if this number is way bigger than that. You might someday be paying $500 for lunch. Not kidding. Could absolutely happen because of inflation. All right. So your assignment is a worksheet. Everybody pull up that worksheet, and in a moment I'm going to ask you for what is the first problem on the worksheet. That'll tell me you actually pulled up the worksheet. There's only one worksheet for today, and you may skip problem number 4. And I'm going to do the first problem with you, and then, kind of ironically, you'll have 4 left. So you're going to skip number 4, and you'll have 4 left. All right, in a moment, you should have that worksheet pulled up. Raise your hand if you've got it pulled up already. All right, the vast majority of the kids in the room have it pulled up. Let's go with Connor Ryan. What is the first question, number 1?
Number 1 says a car is valued at $5,000 in depreciates at the rate of 2.5% per year. What value of the car after 3 years?
Everybody start with a 5,000 and a parenthesis. Luis, do you know what always comes next? Yep. And do you feel like this car is going up or down? So it's a minus. And finish that equation, Sinekin. 5,000 times 1 minus.
2.5.
But I can't actually say 2.5 right here. I got to move the decimal. So 0.25. Just look at it and go, would that be right? No, that's 25%. So it can't be 0.25. What is it?
0.025.
Yes, 0.025. If you're like, how did she do that? You take the decimal and you move it over 2 spots. Okay. And then the only one last thing is to put it to a power. Lily Furcus, what power are we supposed to use? And problem 1. 3 is correct. So there's my amount. And if you can type, you just type that into the calculator, get your decimal, boom, you're done. You may skip problem 4. And I think this should be one of those happy places where almost everybody gets this worksheet done right away, easy. Drop in the Dropbox, and you got some easy points. Okay, and that's all I've got for you for today.